Hey there, viewers. Got a interesting job I'm doing here. I'm replacing the power steering lines on the 3. The other day my son came to me and he said, "Dad, I heard a really funny noise," and then I pulled over because I thought I had a flat tire. And he said when I was driving it the rest of the way home it was really messed up, quote unquote. So I popped open the hood and I looked at the engine, and the right side, or the left side of the engine was dropped down about, I don't know, maybe 2 inches, and then it was also pushed forward. It looked really strange when you looked at it. And once I looked at it a little bit closer, it turns out that the transmission mount had completely come disconnected. So the engine was just hanging by the 2 mounts, the back mount on the frame and the mount over on the right hand side. So it was pretty messed up, and honestly I thought, I didn't know what to think because I'd never seen anything like that happen before. So naturally I thought the worst. The case got cracked, the transmission got cracked. I don't know, I didn't know what to think. But anyway, so I took everything off so that I could have access to the transmission mount, and sure as hell the bolt had just completely worked its way out and backed out of the transmission mounting bracket. It was incredible. Along the way, unfortunately, it pulled the top 2 threads of the mounting bracket out. It's aluminum, so I could see that they were still on the bolt. And I was scratching my head because I know that I torqued everything down and tightened everything. I made a point of it. And I think what I discovered is that if you guys have ever seen on a motor mount how sometimes the rubber flashes over onto the metal, like excess from the injection molding process, I noticed that in the hole where the bolt goes, the mounting bolt, that the entire surface where the bolt would normally tighten down on was covered in a layer of rubber. And I'm guessing that even though I had torqued it down, that because there was that sort of rubber washer in between the bolt and the mount itself, that I never really got the proper torque on it. And after about 3,000 miles, that damn bolt literally backed its way out completely. Now, I will confess I didn't use any Loctite on it, which I probably should have, but I'm not sure that that would have really made a difference in the long run. Maybe it just would have taken longer to come out. So what I did was I took the mount out completely. I scraped off all of that rubber that was on top of the metal where the bolt goes, and torqued everything down, and the bracket held 80 pounds of torque, 80 foot-pounds of torque. So I think that the threads are good, and as of right now, everything looks good. I had my son start it up, and we drove it back up and down the driveway here with no problems. And then I wanted him to turn the wheel to see, if there were any funny sounds, or, make sure the CV joints were okay and all that stuff. And the second he turned the wheel, all of a sudden there was this shower of power steering fluid covering the entire engine bay and the entire right side of the engine. So it turns out that when the engine cocked sideways, it rubbed a hole through the high-pressure power steering line. And as soon as he turned the steering wheel, it just dumped the contents of the power steering system all over the side of the engine and the ground. It's just a friggin' mess down there. So I just got back from the junkyard, and I found a set of power steering lines. I found them off of a 2009 Mazda 3, and from 2004 to 2009 the lines are all the same. So I got those for $25 versus about $70 for a brand new set from the dealer. And it's in great shape, as you can see. I mean, it's not even dirty, or barely dirty. And I got all the washers and everything, so that's going to work out well. So I'm going to go ahead and put the car up and get started pulling those lines out. Shouldn't take me too long. And then when I'm done, I'll show you the hole that got worn in the side of the power steering line. So here are the two lines I need to disconnect. That's the high pressure side and that's the return. So I need to get those off. And then if you follow the lines down, there's one mounting bracket right there. There's another mounting bracket slightly to the left there. I think I can access it through the wheel well. And then there's the leak, and the other two connections are right. There's the high pressure on the bottom, on the right, and there's the return right there. So access isn't too bad. It was actually easier at the junkyard because the car had the battery removed and I just reached everything from the top. So it was actually pretty easy. This is actually a little bit more challenging. What I've decided to do is disconnect the lines here at the steering rack first. Since I've got the car elevated and the other connections are significantly higher, I figure that if I disconnect these first and let them drain, then I can get most of the fluid out of the lines and, you know, try to make as little of a mess as possible. So I'll just disconnect them, and I've got my drain pan down here, and hopefully won't make too much of a mess. All right, the old line is out. The new line has been cleaned up and is on standby. And here is the problem. Right there is where the crank pulley wore through the hose and started to spray fluid all over the place. So that's it. And what I did was I slid it out from the left side through the wheel well and then out and down, and it came out pretty easily. So I'll look and see what the best way to get it back in is, but either way I don't think it's going to be very hard. Alright, I've got the replacement line snaked in there and it's just laying in, but what I'm going to do now is take my belts off, clean the pulleys, and make sure that, you know, this area is all degreased from the power steering fluid. And then since it's so much easier to access and to get the AC belt around the pulley without the power steering lines in place, I'm going to go ahead and do that before I put the line in place and take away all of my access. So I'll take these off, I'll clean the pulleys up with brake clean, put everything back on, and then I'll be ready to install the line. Okay guys, the new line is installed, the new belts are on, everything is tightened down. The high pressure line bolts have been torqued to about 27 foot-pounds, if you can believe that. And now I'm filling up the reservoir, and in a minute or two I'm going to go ahead and start it up and see what happens. Well, that's it, guys. All done. Got the everything's put back together. Wheels are back down on the ground. The undercover's on. The reservoir's at max. I've already, bled it extensively, turning the wheel left and right. It went extremely fast. I'm kind of pleased with that. So now I'm going to take it out for a drive and make sure that everything's okay. Otherwise, not a bad job. Thanks for watching.